Primal Chaos. Hey there, g'day. Primal Chaos here. Today I'm going to be looking at another VoicePLay song. These guys blew me away, to be honest with you. When I checked out, Nothing Else Matters and Carry On Wayward Son, both of which were amazing tracks, amazing classic rock tracks, to be honest. Or depends on what you consider metal, really, but classic rock to me. And then, you know, I was skipping through and everybody's been saying, do the Oogie Boogie song or whatever from Nightmare Before Christmas. But, you know, I keep coming back to the sense that I haven't seen Nightmare Before Christmas. And I know that people have said that won't really matter, but I was on my way to go there and I was about to click on the video. And then this one jumped out at me and I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to react to what is possibly one of the greatest rock songs ever recorded. And the funny thing about it is that the backstory to this song with me personally is I've been an Aerosmith fan since since Pump, which is the song, you know, the album with like Love in an Elevator and Janie's Got a Gun and all those big hits from Aerosmith. But, you know, and then I got into Get a Grip later on in the 90s, things like that. And I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them. I think they're an amazing blues rock sort of outfit. But this song, I didn't know until maybe 6-7 years ago that this was actually even Aerosmith, because it's so from so far early in their career that I just didn't recognize their sound at the time. What it is it's an incredible, like just bombastic, over the top, amazing, soaring rock opus is the best way to describe it. And, you know, there's some super high notes at the end and things like that, which is, you know, ridiculous. And I've since seen Aerosmith perform this song live, and, you know, Steven Tyler climbs up on top of the piano and belts out all the high notes and things. And it's pageantry at its best, but God, it's just so, it's electric, right? It's such an amazing song. So, you know, who better to reinterpret it than these guys who, you know, for my money, have a great track record with taking classic rock songs and figuring out a way of interpreting them in a different way that still honors the original, but at the same time lets you hear it through fresh ears. And, you know, if anyone's got the voices to do this, it's these guys, right? Particularly those high notes. So we'll jump right in a second. But before we do, I'd just like to say this episode today is brought to you in part by Enchroma Glasses. Enchroma make lenses for colorblind people like myself that allow you to see the world as a little bit closer to how it was meant to be seen. It's definitely reshaped my relationship with color in the world, and I'm very excited to sort of have them as a sponsor. So click the link in the description. It'll take you to their website. They're a fantastic company, and I fully support them. Primalchaos.com, P-R-Y-M-A-L, chaos.com. I've got some great merch over there that are all designed by me, you know, so check it out. It's a good way of supporting the channel. Thanks again, guys. Let's dive straight in. Dream On, Aerosmith, featuring Omar Cardona.
Every time I look in the mirror.
Nice way to start.
All these lines on my face getting clearer. The past is gone. It went by like dusk to dawn.
Come on.
Isn't that the way?
Look, I know this isn't my first rodeo, but why is it that it's still such a shock to hear him sort of drop down to this, sort of low notes just get me every single time. So I'm going to hit that again because they've got a beautiful reverb delay sort of echo thing going on there that just sort of makes it sound so sumptuous.
Every time I look in the mirror, all these lines on my face getting clearer.
Nice.
The past is gone.
Oh, that's so nice.
Dusk to dawn. Isn't that the way? Isn't that the way? Everybody's got their dues in life to pay.
Oh. Yeah, come on.
I know.
I know it goes without saying, as someone who's not someone who's an a cappella vocalist or a vocalist at all, really, it always blows my mind when singers who, look, I don't want to dismiss singers. Singers all, you know, they're the same as guitar players in that you get some that are classically trained and understand the fundamentals of music and music theory and things like that. And then you get people who just have a great tone and can sing really well, but don't necessarily understand the nature of what they're doing. They're mostly instinctual. As a guitar player, I'm definitely the latter, right? I wish I knew more about music theory, and every day I punish myself that I should, you know, get down and learn all this stuff better. But, you know, having worked with singers in the past, you know, there's an expectation when you're working in a professional setting that you're getting singers who have that understanding and understand harmony, and they understand, you know, a bunch of different things which instinctual singers probably have on a certain level they have an understanding of, but they don't necessarily have the grounding to understand, you know, what they're doing. They know how to sing a cool lick, but what does the lick mean? Why does the lick work? Why do that lick, right? But whenever I hear something like this, where they're moving up through those chords and they understand, you know, like understand what, if you take, say, for example, C minor, and then you put like a, you know, or like a, you know, those extensions and things like that. What do? You know, your sevenths and your ninths and things like that. When you get a bunch of guys who have a fundamental understanding of how that works, they know what they can take from the song, and what to leave out and what to bring in to give that same sensation of harmony, you know. And I don't just mean harmony in that there's 5 people singing. I mean harmony like harmonic sort of color and tone and flavor. They're sort of, you know, you can hear it as they move up through those chords.
Everybody's got their dues in life to pay.
You can hear how it had to resolve that way.
I know nobody knows where it comes and where it goes. I know it's everybody's sin. You got to lose to know how to win.
So good. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I missed a bit. I've talked about this before, how I'm super envious of having that sharp acuity to be able to just land on arpeggiated notes perfectly, repetitively as well. Like, the human voice isn't set up for that. The human voice is set up, you know, to be a little bit organic and a little bit analog, right? And to get such a digital sharpness to it is just testament to an enormous amount of practice and discipline and skill.
How to win.
You know, that sort of stuff is so good.
Half my life's in books, written pages. Live to learn from fools and sages.
It's true.
All the things you do come back to you.
Oh, like that.
Sing for the year, sing for the laughter, sing for the tears. Sing with me just for the
Who's gonna go for the high notes? I'll bet, is it Eli? We'll see. Oh, I like that.
Dream on,
Oh.
dream until your dreams come true.
Great little bass runs, man.
Dream on, dream on, dream on.
They've gone backwards. They went down and set up. Oh. There it is. Oh, come on, guys. guys. Oh. Oh my God. First of all, going into that part, I was going, okay, it's coming. They're going to do the high octaves. And, you know, they start staggering the harmonies so that they've got sort of like, you know, a little bit of a textural variant on what they were doing. You know, when you haven't got rhythms and guitars to play riffs and stuff like that, occasionally you got to mix things up, right? And so they start doing those like sort of almost like a round where it's, you know, they're offset their parts. And then they go into the high parts, and then that harmony at the end is just so silky and just vivid and rich. It's like, oh, this is what I signed up for. You know what I mean? How clean is that?
Every time I look in the mirror, all these lines on my face getting clearer.
Oh, nice.
The past is gone.
What a great way to end. Because from memory, I think that song fades out. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I listened to it. But just bringing it into... Hey, I gotta hear that lifting. I'm sorry. I know you guys want to hear it again.
Dream on, dream on, dream on.
That almost sounded like it phased it.
Dream on, dream on.
Did you hear that? So there's one of two ways. Look, to be fair, I'm putting it all on Front Street here. There's production in this, right? They've got like little bits and pieces. They've obviously edited some of those little dubsteppy kind of transitions. I'm sure they perform it live like that as well, but it seems like they've cleaned it up a little bit in the studio to make it just sound really sort of digitally clipped, right? Again, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. I wasn't there, but to my ears, it sounds like they've got a little bit of production going on in this track, which is, there's no judgment, right? That's just how things are recorded. That's how you do things in the studio. You produce it. It's gotten mixed. They've probably EQ'd some stuff. They chose specific microphones for the voice. As soon as something is recorded, it's never the original sound. There's not a drum kit in any recording ever that sounds like a real drum kit because they're all EQ'd and compressed and sampled and this and that, right? It's just the way that music works, right? Not since like the 60s has a drum kit sounded like a drum kit on tape. And it's the same with voices, you know, they've got to do some mixing and things like that. And it's not any different to how they perform it, but it just embellishes it and it cleans things up and it sharpens it just enough to have that little bit extra polish for a studio recording versus what you'd hear live, right? And it's the same, like Jeff is taking advantage of the proximity effect, you know, like when he's doing his low notes, if he's going ooh, like that, if he's standing in the room next to you and go, ooh, it's not as dramatic a sound as if it is when he's right up on the microphone, right? And that's the same. It's the same as beatboxers use the same effect when they're beat. Sounds way better than, right? Okay, so with all that said, there's a part here where the two harmonic voices, I think Jeff does a little lick or something, and then these two harmonic voices or three come down, and it sounds like there's some phasing on it, right? Phasing is like a swooshy kind of a sort of sound. Right? It's like a flange or a phase. The way that you get that effect is you just choose a plugin and it's a flange or a phase effect. But what it actually is doing in real life is it's taking the waveforms and it's moving them just slightly offset. So the timing, if you imagine like a wave of sound goes like this. Now imagine you have two of them the same and you slightly move them apart by just a fraction of a millisecond. You get this weird sensation or a sound that sounds like a swoosh or a whooshy kind of sound. Having said that, I wonder if they're doing this with their mouths. It would not surprise me because you can emulate like a sort of sound, but the thing that's beautiful about this choice, whether they did it in post or if they did it live with their voices, is that a phaser sort of sound or a flanger sound is quintessential 70s rock, right? Because it's one of the first audio effects that they came up with, because it's pretty easy to make with basic circuitry, right? So it was one of the first studio effects, one of the first guitar effects pedals and stuff was a phaser or a flanger pedal. They've been available forever. And it's just so beautifully quintessential, this era of song, that it's just a brilliant production choice, whether they're doing it vocally or if they're doing it in the studio or whatever.
Dream on, dream on.
Just right after Jeff does his little run. Hear that, right? But see, again, I say that, but like you hear that little dynamic sort of that they all do as well. I mean, that's something that they're doing with their mouths. You know, they could easily just take the faders and whoop in post or, you know, whatever they're doing. But I guarantee you they're actually performing that as a dynamic choice. So I wonder if they're doing that phasing sound with their mouths. I wouldn't be surprised. It just sounds so authentic. Well, see, there you go. There's a little example of production, right? So I don't know how to do smaller steps than that. But right at the end of the note, you'll hear a slight delay, like a pop, 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 pop at the end. There it is, right there. Yeah.
Every time I look.
Well, I mean, there's delay and reverb on this as well, so whatever.
All these lines on my face getting clearer.
Oh.
The past is gone.
God, that's such a tasteful way to end that. That's so good. Wow. Okay, so yeah, I've probably babbled on long enough. There's not much else to say really, other than what a bold choice to take such a classic seminal track and reinterpreting it in such a bold way and doing such a great job. Like these guys don't seem to miss. They just hit with every fiber of their being every single time. I couldn't be more impressed. This is so good. Wow. I don't know much else to say other than I'm sitting here sweating because it's so good. Oh my God. Look, hopefully this reaction brightened your day today. And if it has, feel free to support the channel just by buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Or you just hit super thanks under the video and do it all through YouTube. Other than that, like, share, follow, subscribe. If you know anyone who might enjoy this reaction, send it to them, let them know. And yeah, don't forget to check out Enchroma Glasses if you're colorblind or know someone who is. And yeah, thanks again. Stay primal, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.